Hey there everyone, welcome back to Sugar is Lava. I'm Heidi and I am here sharing my journey into ketosis for better mental health. I'm going to back it up and tell you about what I've done the last 4 weeks, what has gone well and what is not going well, and kind of what's next, what's my next phase and what are my next goals. So I hope that by sharing this, if you're going through a major health change too, or just something that's hard and challenging for you, I hope that you find some encouragement in hearing someone else's story. So first off, before we get into this is not super sciencey, data-driven sharing about how to do keto. This is just me sharing what I've done and what's worked for me. So to really go over my process for that, I have to actually back it up to 5 weeks ago, which we'll call week 0. So that was before I had actually grabbed Dr. Boz's book, and it was the week that I kind of was just like, oh, I don't want to make a change, but something has to change because I just was miserable. My anxiety was really bad and I was falling asleep all the time. And at that time, all I could think was, well, I know sugar is a problem, so I'm going to just try to eat less refined sugar. So that week I was eating like no refined sugar, and I think I still had like real maple syrup or something like that, but I tried to just cut that sugar out of my diet and then let myself still eat whatever fruits and veggies, even other carbs if they didn't have added sugar, and meat and all of the regular protein stuff. So the other thing that I was already doing was drinking about 5 of these a day. I have POTS, so I get very lightheaded easily because of the low blood pressure and just the rapid change in heart rate. And something that I have found that helps a lot is just drinking electrolytes, lots of them all the time. And usually what I use is the Caged Muscle Hydrocharge electrolytes, and then I add a 1/4 teaspoon of Redmond's Real Salt to the water bottle as well. And I mix that up and I just sip on that all day long, and that has really helped my POTS symptoms a lot. But it also really helped to prevent, I think, the keto flu as my body transitioned towards that. So from there, the first 2 weeks, all that I focused on was eating high fat, protein, and veggies if I felt like it. I didn't worry about how many meals a day or how many snacks I was eating. If I was hungry, I ate, and I just ate plenty of fat. And for me, that looked like eating 3 scrambled eggs and 5 pieces of bacon and maybe like a 1/4 to a half of an avocado, plenty of salt on it, and lots of butter in the eggs. Then for lunch, I would usually grab either some leftover meat that we had cooked the night before, like some pulled pork or some taco meat, or even just turkey lunch meat and cheese. I just wasn't really worried about like what quality of meat it was, or if it was processed meat. I was just going for some meat with lots of fat in it, and if it didn't look like it had enough fat, I added in avocado, maybe some more bacon and some cheese, and if it was pulled pork, sometimes I'd even add butter to that. But that was kind of my goal, was just getting plenty of fat in and not being hungry. And for veggies, I certainly did eat veggies, and keto does definitely allow for low carb veggies. I think what I ended up doing a little bit more would more be qualified as like ketovore. I didn't try to get a veggie serving at every meal. If I thought veggies sounded good, I would eat them. And so sometimes that was cucumber, sometimes Brussels sprouts, really good fried in bacon fat, by the way, broccoli, salad, romaine or spinach. But again, I just tried to keep it easy. I didn't pressure myself about measuring or weighing anything. The only carbs that I was counting were like loosely like, ooh, I know veggies have some carbs, so we'll have a couple of those. I didn't even really do a lot of berries, and I think you are allowed to do berries. But for me, I was just trying to keep it really simple. And so that's kind of what I ate the first 2 weeks. And for me, the decision not to measure anything or weigh anything was because that could be a little bit triggering for me after having done so many programs for weight loss, even ones that worked and I felt good on. Sometimes having to weigh and measure things just feels like, I don't want to do this, I'm not going to do this, and then I'll just throw the towel in on the whole thing. My blood sugar levels in the morning the first week ranged from like 112 to like 121, they were a little bit on the nearing the pre-diabetic range, which I did not love seeing. And I was not making any ketones when I started because I checked that too. My mom actually had a keto mojo that she was done with, that I had been telling her about my exhaustion all the time. So she offered that to me in case I wanted to see if it was my blood sugar. And so thanks, Mom. I'm glad that I got that. That was a blessing to have. So anyway, and then I would say over week 3, what I started doing was I tried to see how long I could go between meals. So I would eat my big meal until I felt very full, and not like uncomfortably full, but I felt like I'm definitely full. I really don't want another bite of eggs and avocado. And whenever I finally started to feel hungry, I would let myself eat. And for me, that looked like still eating about 3 meals a day and sometimes a snack, but I wasn't feeling snacky all the time. So that was good. So this 4th week of keto, what I focused on was still trying to eat until I felt full and then seeing how long I could let my body go. And some days I was able to stretch it like pretty far. I usually still ended up needing a 3rd meal, but like I would eat breakfast at 8 and then I wouldn't eat again till like 3. So that was some kind of improvement, at least in terms of getting my body to shift to this new way of eating. I think I still have to read about this, but I think one of the goals with keto is to try to get your body to kind of have a narrower eating window of like maybe 2 meals a day, and that not being all day. I think intermittent fasting plays into this some, but again, I'm just learning all of that stuff in detail right now. I've kind of like dabbled in keto in the past, but anyway, so yeah, some days I tried to kind of keep that in mind. And if I had like eaten a late lunch at 3 and then I didn't get hungry again until like 8:30 at night, at that point I was kind of like, yeah, let's just push it and see if we could not eat late at night, because I knew the eventual goal was to close that eating window. I still definitely have a sweet tooth, and honestly, letting go of my chocolate chip obsession was one of the things that I thought was going to be really, really hard. So I knew that I would need to at least allow myself like a stepping stone down from that, because I was pretty regularly snacking on lots of chocolate chips all day, every day. So what I worked out for that was I knew I could have heavy cream and I knew I could have peanut butter. I have a tree nut allergy, so I don't eat any other nuts, but peanut butter I love, and that doesn't bother me. So I would make whipped cream, and I'd put a little stevia and a little tiny pinch of salt in there and a little splash of vanilla. And then with that delicious whipped cream, I would add some creamy natural peanut butter, and I'd mix it all up, and I would just eat a bowl of whipped cream and peanut butter whenever I had sugar cravings. And guess what? It worked. I didn't eat any chocolate chips. If I felt like I really needed something chocolatey, I'd stir in some extra dark cocoa powder to the whipped cream and peanut butter, and that kind of helped give me that like chocolate kick, but I didn't eat the sugar and I didn't miss it. So what is going well? There definitely were some good things that came out of this first month. My sweet cravings have gone way, way down. I just don't even want it anymore. When we were out of town this weekend, we had a box of donuts in the car, and my daughter was asking me to hand her a donut. And I did, and my hands smelled like donuts, and I was okay. And that is not something that I expected to change this much this early, only being a couple weeks into keto. So that was really nice to see. And even those days I had sugar cravings, I just let myself have something else that was approved, like the high-fat bowl of whipped cream and peanut butter with stevia. Yeah, some people are anti-sweet anything when you're on keto, and they say that makes the cravings worse if you keep the sweetness in. But for me, I didn't find that. I just found if I wanted something sweet, I would make that, and then I would let myself eat it, and then I felt full, and then I didn't really crave the sweet anymore. So, and again, this isn't a race, so I feel good letting myself just baby step my way into it. If I needed to eat that every single day or twice a day, I did. And there were some days I did have it twice a day, but usually it was one or none. The other thing that I've noticed is the swelling in my face has gone down. And again, I'm not doing this for weight loss purposes. If I lose weight, I will celebrate that. But just noticing the decrease in swelling in my face just gives me a clue that inflammation is going down, and that inflammation definitely contributes to a lot of things in the body that we don't want to be happening. Also, my stomach is less bloated. I don't know what my stomach measurement was when I started. I'm guessing it was above 42 inches, but when I measured it the other day, I was down to 42 inches. My shirts are not like tight across my tummy anymore, so that's nice. My goal is to get my stomach circumference under 35 inches because I think that's a metabolic marker that's like indicative of good heart health. So we'll see what happens with that. Again, the main goal is better mental health. Before keto, my average blood sugar in the morning was around 112 to 121. And 4 weeks in, it was down to about, I would say it was down to about 105, 106. So that was like pretty significant. So even though it felt painfully slow, it felt like I've been eating this way for weeks. When is it going to be a nice low number in the morning? Like that was good. As far as ketosis, well, I went from making about next to no ketones to 0.5, 0.6 ketones when I tested my blood in the morning. So progress there too. One of the really neat things though that happened was just the way that God provided encouragement. There was so much of me that felt like this decision was one that really wasn't a decision. It felt like, Heidi, your health just keeps falling to pieces every time you eat sugar and carbs. You just have to change something. And you know what it is. You have to let go of those. I feel like when I finally listened and said, yes, this is what I need to do, it didn't really feel like a choice. It felt like I had just been shown over and over again, like, nope, go this way. Nope, go this way. Nope, go this way. And I finally was like, all right, we're going this way. We're going to do keto. That's what I need. And I don't really have a different choice. So that can feel really defeating. But the neat thing is that over the couple weeks that I was starting out on keto, I would talk to friends about it, and I learned that a couple of them were actually making big health choices, some very similar to keto, some food related, some not, but they were making big changes for their health too. And it was things that also adjusted their daily life schedule. And especially going to an eating plan that suddenly changes what time you eat meals, that can really impact your day. So it was just nice to know that other friends were doing something similar too. Again, that's one of my goals with Sugar is Lava, is just to remind people that you're not alone in going through big changes, especially big changes related to taking care of your health. And they're hard, but you can do it, and just take your time. It's going to be okay. And there are other people out there going through the same thing. Also, I think this was 2 weeks in, one of my good friends who I hadn't seen in a long time, I met up with her at a women's retreat that our church was at, and I was sharing my frustration about just like, why do I have to do this? Why can't my body work like everybody else's? Why can't it handle sugar? And she shared a beautiful verse with me that I'm going to look up, and I'm going to put it right here, and I'm going to read it. Hold on. It comes from Psalm 103, verse 14. It says, "And he knows how we are formed. He remembers that we are dust." Now that might sound really depressing, but what was so encouraging to me about it was she was reminding me that God is the all-powerful one. He made us. He is the creator. We are the created. And he doesn't expect us to function at 100% all of the time. And he is actually there providing for us and taking care of us. And so he made my body. He knew that this would happen, that eventually it wouldn't be able to deal with sugar or carbs like it used to. And it didn't surprise him. And he's not expecting me to not have that struggle like I'm hanging on to and wishing that I didn't. So it's okay. Just because I'm struggling with this doesn't mean that I broke something or that I did something wrong, or even if it does, that it's not fixable. And God has a new way forward for me, and He knows that I am dust. He knows how my body is made, and He knows that I need this ease into it process. And He knows that I need encouragement. So I'm so thankful that He sent people into my life that day and over the couple weeks to remind me that I'm not in this alone either. So I hope that was encouraging to you. I also heard that verse later that same weekend at the retreat from an entirely different person. And I just love when that happens, when God sends like the same thing over and over and over again. Like, pay attention to this, remember it, because it's important. Okay, so that wraps up the positives. But before we jump into the negatives and like what didn't go well, I want to just talk for a minute about how in the world was I able to stick with this. I have tried countless diets and things always throw me off the rails. I always cheat on diets at least a little bit. And I'm not saying I did this perfectly. Like, I think I definitely pushed the line. There was a very large container of sugar-free ice cream that still had carbs, and I ate the whole thing. And that did affect my blood sugar. But anyway, why am I able to do it this time? We're 4 weeks in and I don't feel like I'm dreading the next meal or I can't do this another day. I think the biggest change is that I'm not doing this for weight loss. I finally got to a place where my mental health mattered more to me, and I finally was able to see the connection between the sugar and the increased mental health symptoms. And so once I finally saw that, it was like something clicked in my brain, and I was able to just say no. Like, no, I'm not going to do that to myself. I think in a lot of ways, what also has been really helpful is just keeping it so simple in the beginning, not measuring things, just kind of working off a food list, not worrying about eating times or snacking or not, and just saying, if you're hungry, eat as much of this as you want. And if you're not hungry, then go do something else. So for me, the other things I've been trying to do are walking, and also this is a creative project. I love to be creative, but I do best when I have a project. So I've been working on this sometimes too. I think what else has made this time successful is that I have allowed myself to baby step my way in. A lot of times in the past, especially with a program like keto, where if you cheat, it can back you up and make you lose progress with your body's chemistry and making those ketones. I would have seen this as an all or nothing thing. Even with gluten, I think that's what's pushed me to be so diligent, is if you get a little bit of gluten in your body, it can affect you for like a really, really long time, like up to 6 months or something crazy like that. So with keto in the past, I always felt like that was more pressure to it either had to be everything or nothing. But you really can baby step your way into this one, and there probably is more things like that in life than not, where even improving it a little bit is better than not doing it at all. And then you can always add on and add on and add on. So I hope that encourages you with whatever you're working on, that you can maybe take some baby steps into it too, and you don't have to do it all at once. What is not working well? Unfortunately, the things that I started this for are still not better. So I would say my 2 chief complaints that really drove me into pursuing keto for better mental health was negative mental health symptoms of having just higher anxiety, especially when I drive, and just like panicky feelings, adrenaline rushes, a couple times where I have actually had a panic attack while driving and had to pull over. It's terrifying. We can talk about it another day, but yeah, so those symptoms still there, not any better, not at all. But what I have read about keto is that it can take up to 6 months of being in deep ketosis, which I am just barely inching my way into. Up to 6 months before you feel real positive effects on your mental health. So I can't really like blame the program because I'm not there yet. So I have to give it time. I hate giving it time. I wish it was instant, but it's not. And the other thing that is not going well that I started keto for was my energy level. I felt exhausted all the time. I was talking to a doctor on Thursday because I fell asleep during the day in the middle of doing something, and I was like, this is not normal. What is going on? I get plenty of sleep at night, like 7-8 hours. I get sometimes more. I've been walking regularly, and I cut out all the carbs and sugar. Well, most of the carbs and sugar. You eat a little on keto, but anyway, I've cut out carbs and sugars for the most part, and I'm more tired. I have like Zippo energy. I feel like I knew to expect that a little bit because I did read about how, like, as you're stopping using glucose for your body's energy and starting to use ketones, there's like this middle ground where you're not really giving your body either or enough of either for energy. But this is pretty intense, and it's interfering with my life. Like, there were drives that I needed to go do to pick people up that I couldn't do because I was too tired. And so anyway, when I fell asleep in the middle of the day on Thursday, I knew we were leaving town Friday, and I kind of freaked out and called my doctor's office. They didn't have any same-day appointments. And so then I called the urgent care doctor. I have an appointment with my doctor in a couple weeks, but I wanted the urgent care doctor to order some lab work because I was just sure that surely there's something wrong with my labs because I felt so tired and so fatigued. And I felt that before I started this. That is one of the reasons I started this, and it got worse. So that's really frustrating because there are a lot of people that talk about all this magical energy that they get on keto and this big surge of energy, and I don't have that. So part of me feels frustrated when I think about that. But when I remember how I was eating before this, it wasn't better. Like, yes, I was not falling asleep in the middle of what I was doing, but I was needing naps every day and feeling very fatigued, but I'm sticking with it. I just don't think this is causing the fatigue to get worse. I think it maybe, hopefully, is just a transition into it, or I think there could be something else going on. And so we'll see what the doctor says in a couple weeks when I meet with her. But I don't know. I don't think it's my meds. I've been on them for a very long time, but maybe it is. I don't know. Part of me wonders if my body is ready to be done with them because I have been on them a long time. I don't know. That's probably just wishful thinking. There's nothing wrong with meds. I'm rambling. Okay, so what's next? So going into this next week, my goals are to try and figure out how to keep getting my blood sugar down. I think it's supposed to be somewhere in the 80s. I don't know. I need to learn about that. And my other goal is to try and figure out how to get the ketones to go up. I'm hoping that that will help with my energy problems. And I am hoping, that just gives me some energy back so that I'm not so tired all the time. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I just love to try all the things at once. So I may or may not actually figure out what is going to make it better, but hopefully something makes it better out of all the things that I try. So what I'm going to do to try and work on those blood sugar levels coming down and the ketones going up is I'm going to read the next couple chapters in this Keto Continuum book. I'm going to watch the next couple Keto Reboot videos on Dr. Boz's channel, and I'm going to keep working on trying to get myself to just 2 meals a day and or at least like being done eating by like 5 or so. I think from what I've read in the past, the fewer times during the day you can eat, the better it is for your blood sugar and keeping your blood sugar from having big spikes. So that's what we're going to work on. And I also am really curious to meet up with my doctor, but I don't think that'll be before my next video. But I'll check in soon and let you know how it's going and what I'm learning and what's working and what's not working. And I hope that you found our time today encouraging as you are going through a big change in your life too, or at least mildly entertaining. So you're not alone. Take it easy, little steps, one at a time, and I'll see you soon. And watch out, sugar is lava.